Coming up on this episode of MSCB News, we investigate what esports is all about at Mesquite High School.
We also take a look at how students are dealing with life during the COVID-19 pandemic.
An interview with the new music manager at KEOM, who took the KEOM broadcasting class in high school.
And then a look at how clubs are adapting during the pandemic.
All this and more coming up on MSCB News.
Welcome to MSEB, live from the TEC studios.
Good afternoon, Mesquite ISD. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kendra Lane.
And I'm Cameron Wilmore, and you're watching MSCB Live, a show produced by MISD students and brought to you live from the TEC studios.
We'll bring you the top stories from throughout the district and take an inside look at what's happening in MISD. Let's get to our first story. Our field reporter, Emily Herrera, is reporting on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected clubs at West Mesquite High School. Let's check it out.
Corona has affected many things over the past years, including schools, more specifically clubs. Today we're going to be looking into some different clubs and how it's affected their competitions, their members, and sponsors. So today one of the clubs that we'll be talking about is Louder Than a Bomb, or LTAB, and she's going to talk about what the club is and how it's affected their club.
Hi, I'm Emily Cornelius, and I teach English 2 at West Mesquite High School, and I am also the co-sponsor of LTAB, Louder Than a Bomb Poetry Organization, where we encourage students to write and then perform poetry to speak their truths about things that are going on in the world and things that are going on in their lives. It is a place where we use our words for power and to empower us as a community, to empower us as individuals, and to make sure that our voices, our individual voices, and what is important to us is heard by others.
How has it affected your competitions? Are you still able to go to them? Are they changing them? Are they online, or what has happened?
So our competitions have been impacted by COVID, and instead of doing in-person competitions, a lot of the preparation and stuff has gone virtual. And even though this past competition season last year, we had an in-person competition planned, everyone except for West Mesquite turned in virtual poems and performances. So we were the only school that was actually physically there.
How has COVID affected your ability to gain new members or be able to promote it?
So COVID really hasn't impacted our ability to get new members and to promote our organization. We actually last year had more kids participating than we had the year before that. And this year it's the same thing, we just continue to grow.
Has COVID affected things you do? Do you do them differently from the years before now? Are meetings different, setups, or what else?
Not a lot has changed in regards to COVID and our meetings and our setup and things like that. The big impact has been with the other schools that are also in LTAB. They are not as open to doing things in person as what we are, and so our workshops have become virtual, and then the kids just really, they don't want to go to a virtual workshop at home. That's kind of boring. So that's been a little bit of a struggle.
What is ACTEC?
ACTEC is an academic competition where we have a theme every year, and we study that theme and then go and compete and take tests that are all kind of surrounding that theme.
Has COVID affected your club and being able to recruit new people or be able to attend competitions now?
Recruiting's been one of the hardest things about dealing with COVID. Not having students on campus to be able to connect with them in terms of introducing them to what academic decathlon is has been really challenging. And then for competitions, it's been really frustrating to not be able to go to a competition physically in person. That's part of what's really fun about it, is getting the students to connect with people from other schools and other academic decathlon programs. And last year we were stuck here on our campus with just our small group competing online, which is really frustrating, and trying to do speeches over Zoom was not ideal either, but we got through it.
Are there any like tips or like things you've been doing to like try maybe and encourage more people to want to join or hear about the club?
We did a little bit in the spring with putting out a student-made video to kind of introduce people to what ACTEC was. And then that was put out to students both on campus and who were learning virtually last year. So that was one way we tried to connect with that. And then we've also gone, in some cases we've gone into classrooms and talked to other teachers, students who we thought might be interested.
So we have interviewed a couple of sponsors and how it's affected their club and how they have like learned to deal with it and what are they doing to help like get their club up and going again. And so we'll continue to see how the clubs perform, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for the story, Emily. It looks like clubs are still thriving at West Mesquite High School. In our next story, we meet up with Tyler Sloan, the new music manager for KEOM, who is a KEOM student graduate as well. Our field reporter, Joshua Mullen, has the story.
Everyone has a dream career, but you might have trouble finding motivation to reach that final goal. So today I sat down with Tyler Sloan to discuss how he kept on track to get where he is now.
So my name is Tyler Sloan. I got started in broadcasting in general back actually in high school here at KEOM. I was a junior and wanted to take the program because I was really interested in sports broadcasting. I always listened to Keith Jackson on ABC College Football and all of his whoa nutty calls and that sort of thing. And that got me excited about watching sports, got me into being interested in sports, and got me into, well, maybe I could use my voice to talk about sports for a career one day. So I took the KEOM radio class because I figured that might help me get somewhere in the future, and it certainly worked. How did I keep on track to get where I am right now? I mean, it's not always easy to stay on track. It's not always easy because you're gonna have those lulls where you're not as motivated as you are other days. I mean, everybody knows we have good days, we have bad days. I try to stay really disciplined in school. My parents really installed in me just not necessarily to be perfect, but just to do your best and to really work hard at school. And I think that helped me just have that discipline, that work ethic and drive to get where I am now, because it's not easy to compete in such an industry where everybody wants to do what you want to do, but developing those skills, developing the talent, it takes a lot of work and effort, and I think I just put in all the miles, so to speak, to get where am now. And I think just kind of telling yourself, okay, these next couple hours, I'm about to dive into this. This is my complete focus. It's about making sure that you are focused on one thing at a time and not letting distractions get the best of you, because our phones can be distractions, TV can be distractions, even our friends can be distractions sometimes. It's about eliminating those distractions. When you got work to get done, you just go in and get it done. And I think taking some joy in the fact that, hey, I can focus on something and take a hard task and make it easier. We all can. How important is high school to having a successful career? I think I wouldn't necessarily say it is absolutely the most important thing ever, but it is certainly up there as far as some of the most important things, because you really develop, I think, in high school a good chunk of your knowledge, because you have those 4 years, you go through an array of different subjects, and high school's where you really figure out what you want to do in life going forward, I think. Some people, it takes until college to do that, but I think once you're through middle school and you get into high school, you sort of now have an idea of what careers you might be interested in taking. And the fact that, especially nowadays in high school, we have so many specific areas of expertise where you're able to take specific classes for your specific needs of where you want to go in a career as your electives. You have that choice. For me, it was to choose this radio broadcasting class so that I could learn how to be on the radio. I could develop some of those on-air skills and be comfortable so that when I stepped foot at the University of North Texas, within the first week, I was able to try out for the radio program to do on-air sports news. And having this on-air experience in high school allowed me to have that just leg up on the competition who didn't have that opportunity, who went into college not with that experience that I had. And so that lets me get in the door quicker, which means I develop my skills quicker, which means that when I get out of college, I have just accumulated much more, onto the resume, much more skill time than everybody else has been able to accumulate. So that's where I think high school really helps, is you're able to get into those specifics of what you want to do in your career a little sooner than maybe some other people would think of. And you have that ability to develop those skills early on instead of waiting until college to do so. I guess just my final thoughts would be, pursue what you want to pursue in life and make sure that you enjoy what you're doing, whether it's, a certain class that you think could help you out in your career. If you really love what you do, I think that in life you're going to feel good, whether you make a ton of money or where you don't make as much money as some other people. I think enjoying what you do is gonna make every day worth it when you get up and you go do something you love versus what you're not. And I tell you what, Mesquite ISD really helped as far as preparing me for my career, being able to work at a top 5 market radio station at ESPN Dallas, and it helped one of my classmates also from Mesquite High School, Alana Quillen, become a reporter at NBC5. So the proof is in the pudding that if you take some of these classes and you put in the work and the effort, then you can get to a pretty cool point in your career in pretty big markets. So it's all out in front of you. Just make sure you dive in, put in the work, and enjoy what you do.
It might seem hard sometimes to keep on track, but hopefully you can take a few pointers from Tyler Sloan and implement them into your life. This has been Joshua Mullen from MSEB News, signing off.
It looks like KEOM has prepared Mr. Sloan for a great broadcasting career. It is neat how he can return to his roots and work at KEOM. In our next story, our field reporter Ashley Ramos investigates how students are dealing with life since the COVID-19 pandemic.
My name is Ashley Ramos, here today on behalf of MECV News here at West Mesquite High School. Today, I'm going to interview some of the many students who are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and get some perspective of how they're dealing with it. Let's hear what they have to say. What can you say about your high school experience if you're comparing it to a unique or normal high school experience? What's different?
It's pretty unique, but it's not really different either. Only thing that was different was learning from home and, the pause we had on our senior year or whatever year you was in during the pandemic, but my senior year. And that was really it. Just learning from home for a minute, coming back and getting back used to being in like the school environment and making that switch. That's the only thing that was really different.
The experience with COVID has been way harder than a normal experience because you can do less things with your friend. You can't get close, you can't really talk to him as much. It's harder to hear. You're like, what? Every 2 seconds because of mask, It's been a crutch. It's not helped us get further than what we usually can do in a normal year.
What have you learned from this experience overall?
How to be more independent and just to do things on my own. And at the end of the day, you gotta depend on yourself before you depend on anyone else.
What do you think about your high school experience? How does it differentiate from a quote-unquote normal high school year?
I would say it was good overall. It was definitely different, very different from anything I've experienced, but it will be a story to tell.
What advice would you have for other students who might be going through something similar as you?
Advice I would say, just stay positive. It's gonna get hard, but you gotta see the light at the end of the tunnel and just keep pushing forward.
This has been Ashley for MECV News, filling you in on the challenges high school students are facing today after COVID. Back to the studio.
It is very interesting to hear from different students across the district on their perspectives about their experiences during the pandemic. In our final story, we interviewed teachers and students involved with esports at Mesquite High School. Let's see what it is.
There's over 1 million video games in the world. Some games have potential to become more than just digital entertainment and activities. You'll be able to show the whole world your skill while even making some money in the process. This is known as esports. For more information, We asked the esports coordinator at Mesquite High School what she does to make the team better, what her favorite video game is, and more. Here's what she said.
First question is, what you doing to make the team better, the esports team? How you making that better?
Well, one of the things that we do is we try to make sure that every team has a coach, an adult coach who is over them that helps them go through and work on their technique and work on their strategy together.
Okay.
And then we also plan on trying to connect with some of the local esports players through Dallas Envy and things like that to see if we can get some clinicians to come in and do some coaching specifically for our teams.
How competitive do you think the players get, or like seen?
Oh, very competitive, definitely. The esports as a program in high schools and at the professional level and at the collegiate level are right up there with all other sports. In fact, I think there's a stat, and you'll have to check me on this. There were more watchers of an esports final than the Super Bowl.
Hey, I believe it.
So this is a very competitive arena.
Personally, what's your favorite video game that you like to play or that the students play?
Definitely two different things, because I am not an esports gamer myself, but I have been a gamer my whole life. My favorite games are Zelda games.
Oh yeah.
So I also played. That's what I'm saying.
Respect.
But I also love World of Warcraft and some other games on the PC as well.
Now, do you think for students who like never really play video games ever, do you think it's still like a place for them on the esports team where they can come and have a good time?
We actually have what's called Gamer Club, and then part of our Gamer Club is our esports competitive team.
Right.
And so if you want to be competitive, if that's something you want, we have a place for that. We also have our casual gaming club that we're looking at for a different date. Right now it's on Thursdays after school, and that you can play and just come hang out and build relationships through gaming and the people who love the same things that you love.
Before we wrap this up, where and what time is esports, like the competitions and the meetups, where is that all held at?
So at Mesquite High School, we have a gaming lab in V Hall, and that's where our competitions take place. Right now, we don't necessarily have like an avenue for like watching or coming to check it. Like if you want to try out, that's a whole separate thing, and what you would do is you would get in contact with either myself, Miss Hill in the library, or you could get in touch with Mr. DeZevi, who is in A14, and we're the two coaches over esports.
Here's what some of the students think about esports.
I think it does a lot because you meet so many new people and you play amongst one team and you have to coordinate and also build up team chemistry, and that takes time. And it's really exciting to see just like everyone get together because of one game.
If someone's better than me and they constantly beat me, I will start to adapt to how they play. I will start to predict what they're going to do, and I will start to predict how they play and movement.
It's pretty fun just hanging out after school with a bunch of dudes.
We are hoping to see growth in this organization. Now that you know more about esports, how about you give it a shot? This is Anthony Perez from MSEB News. Back to the studio.
Esports is growing in popularity among high school students across the nation. I'm glad we are seeing this neat activity available at our Mesquite ISD high schools.
That wraps up this edition of MSEB News. For more information on today's stories, please visit the MSEB YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Cameron Wilmore.
And I'm Kendra Lane. Until next time,
stay classy, Mesquite.
This has been a presentation of MSEB, Mesquite Student Entertainment and Broadcasting, in association with the Mesquite Independent School District Career and Technical Education Department.